Welcome back to Greatest Screenplays. Today, John and I are diving deep into arguably the best screenplay ever written, The Godfather.
That's right, Emma. Just reading that screenplay, even without seeing the film, it's a masterclass. I mean, that opening scene alone with
Oh,
Bonacera,
iconic, absolutely iconic. It's incredible, isn't it? I believe in America. The way it starts with him, and you don't even see Don Corleone at first. It's all about building this presence.
exactly. And that's brilliant screenwriting. It's not just what Bonacera says, but how he says it. He's desperate, grieving, and you're immediately invested in his plight.
Totally. And the way the scene unfolds, the subtle power dynamics between Bonacera, Don Corleone, even Sonny and Tom Hagen in the background. It's also perfectly calibrated. You understand the world instantly.
Right. And the dialogue. You don't ask with respect. You don't offer friendship. You don't even think to call me Godfather. It's not just exposition, it's character and world building in every line.
It establishes the rules of this universe. And it's all subtext, too. Like, Don Corleone isn't just saying you were disrespectful. He's saying you didn't understand how things work here. It's brilliant, isn't it?
And that sets up the whole film. Every interaction, every deal, every consequence is governed by those unspoken rules that are laid out so clearly in that first scene.
Absolutely. Then, think about the structure. That opening with the wedding, it's a stroke of genius. You're introduced to this huge cast of characters, but it never feels overwhelming.
Because it's all anchored by the family, right? The wedding is the perfect backdrop to the Corleones' power, their connections, their normalcy in a way.
It's a celebration, but there's this undercurrent of tension. You know something's brewing, like even the seemingly small detail of the FBI agents taking down license plates.
Yeah, it's a subtle way of showing that this family, for all its power, is still operating in the shadows. They're being
It's
watched.
a great example of planting a seed. Totally. And then you have Michael. He's the outsider, the war hero, the one who seemingly rejects the family business.
He's our entry point into this world. He's explaining things to Kay, and in doing so, he's explaining them to us, like the whole Luca Brasi story.
Oh, that's such a fantastic scene. It's almost a myth being told. It establishes Luca Brasi as this terrifying figure without us even needing to see him do anything yet.
And it's another example of subtext. Michael is telling Kay this story, but what he's really saying is, this is the world I come from. This is the kind of power my family wields.
Exactly. And Kay's reaction is crucial. She's fascinated, but also horrified. She represents the audience's perspective.
She's our moral compass in a way. Definitely. Then the plot really kicks in with Solozzo's proposition. And again, the dialogue is just chef kiss.
It's so layered. The Don's refusal isn't just about morality, it's about business. He sees that narcotics are too risky, that it would destabilize the existing power structure.
Right. If they think gambling is something like liquor, a harmless vice, and they think narcotics is dirty business, it's not about good and evil. It's about control, about maintaining the status quo.
And Sonny's outburst. The Tattaglia family guarantees our investment. That one line reveals so much about his character, his impulsiveness, his lack of foresight.
It's a turning point, isn't it? It shows that the Don's power is waning, that there are cracks in the family's foundation. It's subtle, but that line changes everything.
Absolutely. And the Don's reaction to Sonny, never let anyone outside the family know what you are thinking. Again, it's a lesson in power, in strategy.
He is teaching him how to be the Don. Exactly. And then the attempt on the Don's life. It's brutal, it's shocking, but it's also necessary from a storytelling perspective.
It throws everything into chaos. It forces Michael to step up, to become involved in the family business in a way he never intended.
And his transformation is so gradual, so believable. He doesn't suddenly become a hardened criminal. You see him struggle with each decision.
The hospital scene, when he realizes his father is unprotected, That's the turning point. His line, "I'm with you now," is so powerful because it's understated.
And the use of Enzo, the baker. It's those small characters that give it authenticity.
Totally, the details are incredible.
It's not flashy, it's just real. And then the confrontation with McCluskey,
That scene is brutal, but it's crucial. It shows Michael's willingness to cross the line, to do whatever it takes to protect his family.
and it shows his intelligence. His calmness, his calculation. He's not acting out of rage like Sonny. He's thinking strategically.
Exactly. And then the scene where he proposes killing Solozzo and McCluskey. It's shocking, but it's also completely believable, given everything that's happened.
And Sonny's reaction, he laughs because he sees Michael, the college kid, finally embracing the family's way of life.
But it's not just violence for violence's sake. Michael's plan is calculated. He insists on a public place. He knows he'll be frisked. He plans the escape route.
It's all about minimizing risk, maximizing the chances of success. It's strategy, not just brute force. And Clemenza's instructions, the details of where to plant the gun, how to drop it
It adds
after.
so much credibility. It makes it all feel so real. And the restaurant scene itself, the tension is unbearable.
The way it's paced, the way the dialogue shifts between English and Italian. You can feel Michael's internal struggle, his hesitation.
And then the act itself, it's not glorified, it's brutal, it's messy, it's consequential.
It changes everything. It does. It sets off the war between the families, and it forces Michael into exile in Sicily.
And even in Sicily, he can't escape the violence. The scene where Apollonia dies in the car bomb.
It's heartbreaking, and it reinforces the theme that no one is safe, that even love and innocence can be destroyed by this world.
Absolutely. And then back in New York, Sonny's death, it's another devastating blow. And it's a direct consequence of his impulsiveness, his inability to control his rage.
It's a contrast to Michael's calculated approach. Sonny is all emotion, Michael is all intellect. And ultimately, that's why Michael survives and Sonny
And the
doesn't.
scene with Carlo, oh, that scene is chilling. Michael's coldness, his willingness to betray his own brother-in-law. It's the final step in his transformation.
Don't be frightened. Do you think I'd make my sister a widow? He's utterly ruthless now. The way he uses family, the very thing he claims to protect to achieve his goals.
It's masterful manipulation. And the ending, it's not a happy ending, but it's a satisfying ending.
Michael has consolidated his power. He's eliminated his enemies, but at what cost? He's become the very thing he initially rejected.
And that final scene with Kay asking him if he ordered Carlo's death, his lie, it's the perfect encapsulation of his moral
On her
corruption.
face. Her slow realization of who he truly is tragic.
It's a tragedy, really. A tragedy of a man who loses his soul in the pursuit of power.
And circling back, that core theme of family, it's twisted, isn't it? The very thing he's protecting is also what corrupts him, pulling him into that life.
It is. Family, power, violence, they're all interlinked. And that's what's explored so masterfully here. The idea that, in the end, power, particularly that kind of unchecked power, has a cost.
Exactly. It's not just a gangster story, it's a story about human nature, about the choices we make and the consequences of those choices. That's why, even just reading the screenplay, it's so powerful.
Absolutely. It's a perfect example of how a screenplay can be both entertaining and deeply meaningful. A true masterpiece.